Section 1.5, Orders of Operation. Okay, so the acronym that normally is used for order of operation is PEMDAS, at least in the United States. It can be different in other countries, but it's the same concept. So first step is P for parentheses, or you can think of them as brackets, absolute symbol, all kinds of grouping symbols. Within algebra are going to be using P for parentheses. They're just grouping. So you do the grouping first. Next, you deal with 2, which is E. E is for exponent. So that would be things like e to the second, but it's also square root. So for instance, square root of, I don't know, x or square root of 4 or 3 or something like that. So they're both exponents and roots. They are done the second step under E for exponents. 3, and this is a little bit more confusing or complicated, is M and D, which stands for multiplication and division. And in this case, you deal with whichever comes first from left to right. Okay? So if you see multiplication first from left to right, the same direction you read English, then you would do multiplication first. If you see division first from left to right, you would do division first. Okay, then we go into fourth. And we do addition and subtraction in the fourth step, which is from left to right again. We do whichever comes first, either addition or subtraction from left to right, whichever comes first. Okay. So here we go. So let's move on to the first problem, which says perform the operation in the correct order. Now, we don't have any parentheses or brackets or grouping symbols. We don't have any exponents, but we do have multiplication. Okay, so we are going to do this multiplication step first. So what we would say is 8 times 6 is 48, right? Okay, so next step, we don't have any division, we don't have any, but we do have addition, so that's the next one, right? So I'm just going down that PEMDAS list and checking it off as I go through, right? So for instance, if you wrote it out, it would look like this. Parentheses, no, we're done with that. Exponents, no, they don't exist, move on. Multiplication, yes, we did it. There is no division, so we move on. Then we have addition, bam. So we're going to do addition. 5 plus 48 is 53. I believe it or not, that is a 3. And there's no subtraction, so we move on. Okay, let me write down. I'm going to use a different, I'm going to X out the ones we don't actually have. Hopefully that'll make it a little less confusing. PEMDAS, right? So we go down the list. First step, parentheses. Are there any parentheses? No. So we're done with parentheses. What about exponents? Are there any exponents? No. We're done with the exponents and roots. What about multiplication, right? Third step right here. What about multiplication? Yes, there is multiplication. We do multiplication. Okay, fair. 16 times 3 is 48. Okay, is there any more multiplication or is there any division? No, no division. What about addition? Right? So addition, which is the fourth step. Yes, there is addition. 48 plus 5 is 53. And then we have subtraction. There is no subtraction, so we're done with that. Right? So you do have to memorize PEMDAS, the order of operations, and then just keep going down that list, performing one step at a time. Okay, so let's try the next one, number 3. So number 3, again, we're dealing with PEMDAS. Now, P for parentheses, that means we have to do these parentheses first, which is the first step. So we say 4 plus 8 is 7. Okay, fair enough. Then we move on to exponent, which is the second one. But there are no exponents, so there were parentheses, but there is no exponent, there's no root. Okay, then we move on to the third step, which is multiplication or division, whichever comes first from left to right. There is multiplication, check, and you say 6 times 7 is 63. And there's no division, there's no addition, there's no subtraction, so you're done. Let's move on to the next one. Again, we say PEMDAS. So we say that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we say P is for parentheses, which is this step right here. So we keep everything else. And 3 plus 5 is 8. Okay, so we're done with the parentheses, no more parentheses, right? That means we cannot simplify within that parentheses. It's just an 8, and we can't do anything with it. So we're done with parentheses. Then we move on to exponent. Are there any exponents? No. All right, no exponents. Then we go to the next part. All right, is there any multiplication or division? There's multiplication, no division. We do multiplication now. Okay, fair enough. We pull down 17 because we're not doing that yet. We're not doing addition yet. Then we say 6 times 8, which is 48. I don't know why they like 48 so much. Anyways, so there's no division. We move on. Is there addition or subtraction from left to right, whichever comes first? And indeed, there is addition. So we're going to do addition. There is no subtraction. All right, so 17 plus 48 is 65. 65. Okay, let's move on. I know this is very repetitive. Once you get the idea of PEMDAS, these are not, oops, let's do it vertically. Once you get the idea of PEMDAS, these are not bad. You have to memorize PEMDAS. So parentheses, are there any parentheses? No. Are there any exponents? No. Is there any multiplication? Yes. So we have to do that first. So we bring everything else down. 4 times 7 is 28. We bring down the 28 and the subtraction of 2. Is there any division? No. Is there any addition? Yes. Right? And again, we do whichever comes first from left to right. If the subtraction had come first, we would have done that first, but since the addition comes first from left to right, we do the addition. So we say 6 plus 28, which gives me 34. We'll bring down the minus 2. And do we have any subtraction? Yes, we do. We have to do that next. 34 minus 2 is 32. Move on to the next one. Again, we do PEMDAS. You obviously don't have to write PEMDAS every time. I'm just doing this as a teaching aid. So do we have any parentheses? Yes, we do. We have to do everything in the parentheses first. Now, in this case, there's more than one thing to do within the parentheses. And within the parentheses, we also follow PEMDAS. So there's PEMDAS within the parenthesis as well. Parentheses within the parenthesis? No. Exponents within the parentheses? No. Multiplication within the parentheses? Yes. So we say 6 times 9 is 54. Okay. Is there any division? No. Is there any addition within the parenthesis? Yes. 7 plus 54 is 61. All right. Do we have any subtraction? No. Is there anything else to do with simplifying within the parentheses? No. Okay, let's go back outside to exponents. No. What about multiplication or division? There is multiplication. So multiplication. 2 times 61 is 122. All right, 122. And there's no addition, no subtraction, so we're done. There you go. So you follow PEMDAS outside when you're dealing with the things, but if you go inside the parenthesis, you do PEMDAS again. If there was a parenthesis within that, which could theoretically happen, you do PEMDAS within that parenthesis, right? So yeah, you can have parentheses within parentheses within parentheses. That can happen. Not in this class, but it theoretically could happen. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We do parentheses first. And what do we do within the parenthesis first? We do the multiplication first, right? 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. Okay, so outside the parenthesis, we don't have any exponent or roots. We do not have any multiplication or we do have division, right? So we finished the parenthesis. There are no exponents. We finished. There was no multiplication, but there is division. There is division. So we say 12 divided by 3 is 4, right? And now, of course, there's no addition, no subtraction. So the fourth step, all gone. So it looks like the answer is a 4. We do the next one again, PEMDAS. Oops, PEMDAS. So what we do here is there's no parenthesis. Do we have any multiplication or division? Oh, sorry, exponents. Is there any exponents? No. Okay, so what about multiplication and division, which is the third step? No. What about addition and subtraction? Yes, you do have addition and subtraction. Now, again, this is from whichever comes first from left to right. So since the subtraction happens first, we do the subtraction first, and then we write the result. So we say 9 minus 8 is 1, and then we just bring everything else down, plus 5. Now we do addition. So I know it says A and then S, but again, we actually do whichever comes first, left to right, same direction to read English. So then we say 1 plus 5, which is 6. Just like that. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So we want to perform the operation in the correct order. Okay, again, we're dealing with PEMDAS. Depending where you're from, you might have learned this differently. There might be BEDMAS, for instance. If you're in Canada, I think they go over BEDMAS. It's the same concept. They just use different acronyms to represent the same concept. So if you learned it differently and you're good with it, you don't have to learn the new PEMDAS if you learned it well in some other, using some other acronym. Okay, so in this case, there are no parentheses, so we just X out on that one. No exponent, we X out on that one. No multiplication, we X out on that one. No division. But there is subtraction, which came first from left to right. So we say 12 minus 6 is 6. Okay, is there subtraction? There's still a subtraction from left to right. It's the only operation left. 6 minus 5 is 1. So the answer is 1. Okay, how about there? This one's a little bit different. Whoops. I was thinking about bed moss. Sorry. So PED, PIMDOS, PIMDOS. Okay, there are a bunch of different ones. All right, so there's 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so in this case, we're going to separate and simplify the numerator separately from the denominator. So we say 31 plus 14, and that should give me a 45. And then we say 17 minus 8, and that should give me a 9. And then when you're done simplifying both the numerator and the denominator, your next step is to simplify the entire thing by division. Right, so now we're going to do 45 divided by 9, which gives me a 5, which is the final answer.